Let's see how many subscribers I lose today. Because every time I go in this direction, boop, 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 the next morning I've lost subscribers. Have I lost them all yet, or are there still more to lose? Don't worry about it. Take it easy. Homeschool is supposed to be natural. Unschool them. Deschool them. Look it. Learn hard. This is Miss Andrea. We're currently in the pre-Christmas season. I am doing a 40 Days of Christmas, beginning with my early Vlogmas. And today, I just kind of want to talk about really bad homeschooling and why, as homeschoolers, we need to push our children harder. So where do I start? Yesterday, I read you guys a little bit from the Homeschool Reddit, where a father was asking for advice. It's a little choppy in the beginning of that video because while I read word for word what he wrote, I was editing half asleep and forgot to cut out the curse words. And then when I cut it out in the YouTube editing software, I overcut. But don't edit at 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, anyway. But so last year or the year before, I did a video entitled An Apology to Homeschoolers, and I'll link that. But basically the deal is there are a bunch of kids out there, and they're not kids, they're a bunch of millennials out there who were homeschooled, and they're kind of salty, and they feel like they didn't have a good experience. Now, that was a generation of homeschoolers before us, before me. These are the people who, when I started homeschooling, were finishing, and they were kind of telling me how to homeschool, and I kind of didn't really have favor with them because I didn't really listen. Some of the things that they said just grated against me, like, oh, why are you so hung up on academics? You have to get a homeschool mindset. We're more about making happy, healthy kids than worrying about, all these fine details of education and stuff. And I was like, I don't know about you, but I'm homeschooling for academic excellence. So I never fit in with that crowd anyway. But now, because my kids are just a little bit younger than this crowd, like 5 to 8 years younger, and homeschoolers tend to gravitate toward homeschoolers as adults, I'm just meeting a lot of young people who, I guess are half or a quarter generation ahead of my kids, who were homeschooled and who are just super unhappy. And I honestly, I just super don't know where to start. But there are also kids who are younger than my homeschool kids who are also not happy. And I'm seeing, okay, let me just read this. So I am 17 and not going to lie. I live in a really abusive home. My father is bipolar, unmedicated, and my mom, I don't know what she got, but she can be just as bad. I have been homeschooled my whole life, and I fully resent my mom a lot for it, since I feel very behind everyone else my age. I struggle with math, chemistry, and anything that's not history and English, and even my spelling can be poor thanks to my dyslexia. I'm just going to stop and say, if I'm reading this choppy, it's because there's a hell of a lot of commas in here. They comma spliced this to death and didn't use periods at all. So I already see a deficit, an educational deficit there. I mostly take care of the house since both my parents work nights. So I clean, cook, watch my 3 younger siblings, feed all the pets, which include 11 birds, 4 dogs, and a cat. But sometimes my siblings help. My mom blames us for being so far behind when she has not been teaching us for these last 6 years since she has to be with my father all the time. I also haven't been taught to drive yet, which makes me feel so trapped. I have fully given up on getting my GED and given up already on some of my dreams, and I settled on just becoming a bartender. I just need some advice for people who have already made it through this. Because right now I feel completely worthless. In the younger homeschool group, the ages that I actively work with, what I'm seeing is anxiety. And a lot of it is well-founded. And here's what it comes from. It comes from parents being way too relaxed in teaching their homeschoolers. And like, if you say to them, your kid's 3 years behind in math, well, they don't like math. I don't like grocery shopping. Do you know what I mean? Well, they get stressed when I pull out math, so I pulled back. I get stressed when it's time to wash dishes. Like, I get stressed when it's time to make money. Like, like we all get stressed, and you have to let children experience stress. You have to push them. Now, I've worked with kids who are on the spectrum and who have different levels of ADHD. And sometimes when you push too hard, they'll shut down. And every child has a tell. One would do this. And I knew that anything I was trying to teach him was over. Another kid would do this. And I knew he was done. But you can push a child until they check out. And what I learned is when you push a child to that check out point, the next time you push them, it'll take longer for them to check out. And so I'm not talking about this parent here, that this child is saying his parents are abusive. I'm talking about well-meaning, amazing homeschool parents who fall back in some subjects so as not to frustrate the child. Now, I don't believe in frustrating children, but I do believe in pushing them. And when it comes to education, absolutely frustrate them. When it comes to like nitpicky things like saying yes ma'am and no ma'am, I just don't believe in that. I mean, there are things that I find not valuable, like rigid behavior. That's not valuable to me. I want a kid to be who that kid is. I want that kid to be sassy and pushy, because when that child gets to be adulthood, that sassiness and pushiness is going to be needed. And if we strip it from them when they're young, they're not going to have it when they're older, and they're going to have to rebuild those muscles. Meanwhile, this education stuff, these are muscles that they also need to build. And you push them, you push them, you push them, you push them, and you make sure that they learn everything that they need to know. My mom went back to work when I was 11 and expected me to homeschool myself. I was always in trouble for not keeping up school or chores. I really don't think we should be giving our homeschool kids extra chores because they're home. At all. They added, my older brother was abusing me and I have ADHD, so not exactly a good environment for learning. She said she wouldn't lie for me, so I never graduated. But I did get out, and I'm almost 30, and I'm looking to getting my GED and possibly going to college. Working parents who want to homeschool need to figure out supervision. And need to figure out educating the children. As I said last night in my middle of the night video, homeschooling isn't putting a child in front of curriculum and having them learn it. Homeschooling is sitting shoulder to shoulder with the child and walking them through the curriculum the same way a teacher would do. The same way a teacher would do. The same way a teacher would do. So, like, I'm just super distressed. So, like, I spent so much time, like, searching online for a homeschool success stories because I feel like we're a success story. I feel like even at 24 and 26, we have a couple more milestones to pass. Like, it's time for them to buy houses and to live independently of us. Of course, COVID messed up their working prospects. So that is what it is. And it seems like up to age 30, more people living home now. But we're ready for our kids to pass that milestone. Because, I don't know, until your children are super adult and happy, I feel like you're not done. But here's the thing. Public school kids aren't perfect either. There's always something wrong, like anxiety, missed opportunities. Even me myself, coming out of public school, looking back, I know I missed a lot of opportunities just because a teacher didn't like me, or because I decided I didn't like a teacher, or because, I didn't like the crowd of kids that was in that class. And I missed opportunities that I could have and should have had. I was homeschooled by my mom from 2nd to 4th grade, 3 years. She openly took credit for my academic success from middle school, high school, and college, all the way up to my first 2 jobs after my degree. And she tried to put this on her resume with the excuse, well, the employee will never know what I was doing for 3 years, so I'll show them how well you turned out as proof of my success. The real effects of those 3 years were crippling depression, isolation, anxiety, lack of social development, and the beginnings of her daily screaming meltdown that left me with PTSD to this day. I turned out well despite her homeschooling, not because of it. I know several other homeschooling families. They operated essentially the same way, with varying degrees of religious extremism and anti-science math views. Of that group, I'm the only one who graduated high school, let alone college. Let me say, this is the older set, and I see a lot of that in the extreme religious science denial type of homeschooling. Let's see how many subscribers I lose today, because every time I go in this direction, boop, 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 the next morning I've lost subscribers. Have I lost them all yet, or are there still more to lose? We shall see. I gained a lot of subscribers last week. Let's see how many I can get rid of. So, yeah. So what I'm saying is, this is the worst of what we're seeing. This is the absolute worst. The kids who did homeschooling enjoyed it. The people whose experiences were stellar, they're not on here complaining. And they're not on here looking for complainers to set them right. They're out living their lives, doing their thing, being the people that they are. That said, don't let this be your kid. If you don't push your homeschooled child, if you don't stay engaged in homeschooling, if you just don't say, here's the curriculum, here you go, and pat your kids in the butt. If you're going to homeschool, you need to actively homeschool. You work a full-time job? Fine. Homeschool for 4 hours in the evening. You work 60 hours a week. You want to homeschool them on the weekend, and then set their homework for the rest of the week, which you review at the end of the week, and then teach them new things every weekend. Get proper supervision for young kids. Do not have older kids watching younger kids. I've heard too many stories about abuse between siblings. If it sounds like reindeer on my roof, it's because my son's best friend is the reindeer on my roof. Putting up Christmas lights, which I asked my husband not to put up because I knew that someone would be on my roof, and I get anxiety when I think someone could get hurt. Anyway, so all that said, on the homeschool boards, the regular homeschool boards where I don't see this, because understand, I'm on Reddit, so you're going to get weird stuff on Reddit anyway. But on the regular, like, Facebook homeschool groups, you just see more of, hey, this is where I am, this is the problem I'm having, give me advice. And I see way too many people going, don't worry about it, take it easy. Homeschool is supposed to be natural. Unschool them. Deschool them. Look it. Learn hard. Learn hard. Learn hard. There's just no reason that your kids as homeschoolers can't be 1 or 2 grade levels above normal public school kids. At least in a subject or two. I'm sorry. I can't lie. I find it unacceptable for a child older than 13 to still be doing multiplication. I believe in unschooling up until a certain age, but once that kid turns 10, get on it. I am an introvert. I could stay in my house for a year. COVID ain't bothering me, y'all. Except that I can't see my students. So I can isolate with the best of them, but that's not good for your children. Get out the house, do the things, go to the places, see the people. Homeschooling is supposed to give your children better opportunities, not less. And if I seem aggravated, it's because I read Reddit for 2 hours today. And I read some really bad stuff. And I know it's not the full picture, but I also read the Facebook homeschool pages, and I see how new people starting to homeschool end up being these parents who the children are calling narcissists. Don't take advice from people who are just starting to homeschool too. Y'all, it's the blind leading the blind. Oh, I'm just so done. Do better. Do better. Let's have some homeschool success stories. Let's knock this ball out of the park. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm going to bring up race. In the Black community, if your kid isn't dual enrolled in college by 15, you suck. So maybe, we're all have our worldviews. And that's mine. Because we have so many opportunities for extra enrichment. And there's just no reason that at 20, 24, 28, 30, our kids should be calling us narcissists and saying that we isolated them through homeschooling. And if you know a narcissist who's hurting their child through homeschooling, say something. Yeah, say something. Because it's not good. All right, I gotta stop. Till next time.